Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I want to share with you how to make this snowflake embroidery card, but without a cutting machine. In a previous video, I shared how to make this snowflake embroidery pattern, but I shared a free SVG cut file. You cut out that file and then you use this pattern to stitch it in. But I got a comment reminding me that not everyone has a cutting machine, and there are some of you that would like to be able to do this without having a cutting machine. So I created this pattern for you to print and cut out, and you can overlay this on your card. I'll show you how it all works. So the first thing you need to do is download this pattern. It is different from the one that I previously shared, but it still has that stitching guide on it. So you only have to print out this sheet. Now, the one thing you do want to make sure of is whenever you print off at 100%. And that is your scale size. So don't, if you have it set to like 99 or 98 or fit to the sheet, do not do that. 100%. And then whenever you print it off, your guide should be 4¼ by 5½ inches. So the first thing you want to do is cut out that guide. It is nice and lined up for you, so all you have to do is follow the dotted lines. And then you also want to cut a piece of cardstock that also measures 4¼ by 5½. I'm using a little bit of a heavier weight white cardstock. Just know as you're stitching, the thicker the cardstock, the better it holds up. However, the thicker it is in this case, the harder it's going to be to punch through. So keep that in mind. Now, once you have your card base, not your card base, but your panel and also your pattern ready to go ahead and line up that pattern right on top of the panel. And then I'm just going to use some micro pour tape to hold that down. I like to tape it on all 4 sides. This is a very low tack tape that doesn't rip the paper. You can also use washi tape. You can use Scotch tape. Just be careful whenever taking it off that you don't rip your cardstock. Any kind of tape will work, just something to secure it down. You don't want this to shift around at all, and if it does, it's a pain to line back up. So just do yourself a favor and tape it down the first time. Now I am working on a surface of fun foam. This is very cheap. You might even have some left over from your kids' crafts. I have 3 layers of a thicker fun foam layered up here, so it measures about 3/8 of an inch when it's all put together. This is so I don't end up damaging my work surface because you're going to be poking holes through it. If you don't have fun foam, you can use an old foam book, an ironing board, any kind of anything under there just so you don't damage your work surface. Now, you have a few different options. You're going to be sewing this, so you should have some embroidery needles on hand already. If you don't, they are very cheap. I will leave some links down below. So those work great to punch in those holes. Or if you are a card maker or paper crafter like myself, you probably have a craft pick on hand. I like the Tim Holtz one because it's retractable, so I can just kind of push it right back down in its little base and I don't injure myself. But either one works great. I will leave some link down below, some options, and then you just want to go through and punch all the little dots that are on this paper. It's very easy to do and see where you've already punched because they are black little dots. So once you punch them through, they kind of dissolve, turn to white almost. And to make sure you've got them punched all the way through, just put a piece of colored paper or cardstock behind there. You can kind of see at an angle. You can see that red very well through all those holes, so I can make sure that all of them are punched through. And once you have those holes punched in there, that's kind of it. It's the same thing as if you would be using the SVG cut file. All your holes are punched and ready to go. So the only thing left to do is remove that pattern that you had taped on top, and do so carefully so you don't rip your panel. But then it's ready to go. You are ready to sew. Now this is why I added in that stitching guide. You only have to print off this one paper then if you want to use this, because your stitching guide is right there on the bottom, and you can use that and your embroidery floss to go ahead and stitch that card panel up, and it's ready to go. You can follow along with that other video if you want to see how you can stitch along with that, but it's fairly simple. You just do your best. And then I like to store these all together because the great thing about this pattern, it's not a one-time use pattern. You can reuse and reuse as long as it'll hold up. So you only need to print it off once, and then you can store that along with the stitching guide, just paper clip them together, and you can store it and use it on future projects. That is going to do it for me today. I will leave the link down below to download this free pattern over on my blog. I will also leave a link to the previous post where you can find the SVG cut file if that's the route you want to go. But from here on out, all of those embroidery patterns that I will be coming out with, they will have their own pattern as well that you can follow along just like this. So if you don't have a cutting machine, you can still make the card as well. That's going to do it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and happy crafting.